We want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to get started. As people come in, they please make them feel welcome. I'm Steve Powers, Salem City Manager. On behalf of the city, on behalf of City Council, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to learn about a proposed regulation that is being considered. The city is guided by values. Two of those values are responsiveness and compassion. Your participation here today will help us with making sure we are meeting those values. The experiences of our unsheltered neighbors are very challenging, and we need to move forward. As we move forward, we need to look at how to balance the needs and rights of everyone in our community, in our city. We are fortunate to have a panel, as you can see, of city staff that can answer questions that you might have regarding the proposed regulations, that can provide more background and history of why we're here this afternoon. So again, on behalf of the city, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to turn the mic over to Kristen Rutherford. Kristen is very knowledgeable about the issue of our downtown and the many people that want to enjoy what the downtown has to offer. And she will also be serving as our moderator for the next 90 minutes. So Kristen, thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and welcome everybody. So again, Kristen Rutherford, I'm the Urban Development Director for the city. So I want to thank all of you for coming and sharing part of your day to engage on this subject with us, because there is a lot of interest and a lot of passion in our community on the subject of homelessness, and a great deal of diversity of opinion about what needs to be done in our community. So this is an opportunity for all of us to share information and engage in respectful and civil discourse with one another about a very complex issue. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background, and then I'm going to talk about the structure of the forum and what we can expect today. So a year ago, the city wrapped up a task force that addressed issues tied to homelessness in our downtown. There were a lot of recommendations that came out of that task force. An implementation plan was presented to City Council in February of this year, and an update on implementation efforts was shared this summer. That information is in a handout that's at the table when you came in, so if you haven't picked it up on your way in, please feel free to grab it on the way out. So that task force was formed after the first time a sidewalk conduct ordinance was considered by City Council a little over a year ago, a year and a half or so ago. And that ordinance was a topic of discussion at that task force. Task force membership was a diverse representation of our community, with businesses, with advocates, with service providers. And as a body, at the end of the day, they were split on the ordinance. And that is also addressed in those recommendations. Since the task force concluded a year ago, the city has been working with our community partners to implement these recommendations. And while there's been progress and we have many efforts that are underway and coming to fruition in the upcoming months, city staff and councilors have continued to hear regularly from our businesses, from property owners, and from customers about behavior issues that occur on our city sidewalks. And the proposed ordinance is not intended to solve homelessness. The city's funding and initiating and partnering in many efforts that are currently underway to achieve that goal. And we're working hard to add services and to add housing. So this ordinance is intended to address conduct that impacts businesses and properties and citizens in our community. So that's why this ordinance is being considered again and why we are conducting these forums. So we are conducting 3 forums. We've already had one. So we are conducting them at a variety of locations and at a variety of times to share information on what the city's been doing to address homelessness and to share information about the ordinance and to provide opportunity for people to ask questions and share their thoughts on the proposed ordinance. The 3rd forum has not been scheduled yet. I hope that we can get that wrapped up and scheduled early next week and that information shared with the community. Also, a date has not yet been set to take the ordinance to City Council. That will occur after the forums. Now, about today's forum, Nicole Utes, our administrator of the Salem Housing Authority, is going to talk briefly about housing efforts. We receive a lot of comments about how the city should explore Housing First program and other housing efforts that we should undertake. And we just want to make sure that it gets broadly out there in the community that we do have a Housing First forum, and Nicole will talk more about that and other things that we're doing. Following Nicole, Dan Atchison, our city attorney, is going to speak briefly about the details of the ordinance. And then after Dan, we will open up the forum to questions and comments, and we have members of the police department here as well to help answer some of questions if they do come up. We have a sign-in sheet that was in the entry. I've got that here. So we've asked you to indicate if you do want to speak, and we've also asked you to indicate if you spoke at the last forum, because we would like to prioritize people that did not have an opportunity to attend the last forum or didn't get to speak at that last forum. So I will go through the list and moderate. I will be calling up 2 to 3 names at a time. You will come forward to the microphone here to speak when it's your turn. If I've called 2 to 3 names and you're not first up, please wait towards the back of the room so we don't end up kind of mobbing the stage here and people don't have anybody breathing down their neck. We're going to follow the council protocol of 3 minutes to speak. I've got a timer in the room in the back who's going to hold up the yellow sheet for me and a red sheet. When you have your 1 minute left, I will give a 1 minute signal. When your 3 minutes are up, I will give you the time. We are going to expect that at 3 minutes, the comments stop. If there is a clear question from your comments that we can address briefly here, we will do that, but this is not a forum for debate. It's a forum for making your comments and for the sharing of information or asking specific questions. At the end of the 3 minutes then, we'll be expecting speakers to stop and clear the area so that we can get as much opportunity for everybody to speak as we can. So the intention is that the city information sharing portion will be under 30 minutes and that we will have an hour or more for public comment. And now I'm going to turn things over to Nicole, who will provide a brief update on housing efforts.
Thank you. I'm Nicole Utes. I'm the Housing Administrator for Salem Housing Authority. And I'll just quickly go through a few of the programs that you may or may not be aware of that the Housing Authority is in the middle of currently running. So the first one is the Permanent Supportive Housing Project located at 4107 Fisher Road Northeast, which is in the midst of permitting and final stages of funding for us to get that project going. That will house 37 single-room occupancy units, which will include 1 fully accessible unit in that facility. In that facility, we are working towards partnerships. We do have commitments from Salem Health, who will provide 6 medical respite units on the first level. Those will be for individuals who are discharged from the hospital but not quite yet ready to go out into camps or being out into the weather. For them to continue to recover, and that'll be very quick transitional time, up to they averaged about 6 weeks. So those will be dedicated to the Salem Health. The other units, there'll be 31 permanent supportive housing units on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Those are single room occupancy, so there'll be 2 rooms with a shared bathroom. We anticipate going into partnership with Arches and have permanent supportive housing wraparound services on site as well as coordinated entry. We are also in talks with Northwest Human Services as well. So our goal is to get that project started in the end of this year and get it completed and open just as the weather is at its worst. So we anticipate having that fully constructed and housed within a matter of days of opening. So this will also have a community area for learning, gathering, addiction meetings, different things like that as well. So along with Fisher Road, we have in the works is we have applied for a 76-unit permanent supportive housing cohort project for a project on Broadway that the Housing Authority owns 3 acres presently. We have applied for this. We're very excited about it. We should know by the end of the month if we are accepted. We did apply for that with a collaboration with Arches to do permanent supportive housing and case management. If we are accepted into that program, our commitment is that we try to turn this project around by June 2021. That's a pretty extensive deadline for us to get this project on board, considering average government projects take 3 to 4 years. We're ready for the challenge if we get accepted. So, and then many of you probably are aware of our Housing First program that we currently run, which is the Housing Rental Assistance Program for the HRAP, which is well known for HRAP. But we currently have 154 that have been into that program. 60 of them have graduated and moved on to the voucher program. We have 60 currently housed. It's always very exciting when we hear that 3 this week are now housed and are on the process of being stabilized. There's many positive attributes that have come out of the HRAP program through the course of the years. We'll be going into our 3rd year of this program, and with that said, it's probably put about 44% harm reduction rate on the individuals that have graduated or been a part of that program. The Housing Authority is very proud of the 84% success rates for individuals who have entered into that program, which is higher than the average for the national. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over, and if there's additional questions, feel free to ask. We have many other projects, and I just want you to know that Salem Housing Authority celebrates 50th anniversary we currently have 8,007 individuals housed in all of the different programs that we manage, and this is our 50th year that we're out there with a mission for affordable housing.
Thanks, Nicole. And just to allow comment time, I would like to ask that if there are questions specifically about the housing programs that Nicole mentioned, that maybe you catch us after the meeting so that people have, so we can just hear from as many people as possible. Thanks. I'm going to turn it over to Dan now to talk about the specifics of the ordinance.
Hello, my name is Dan Atchison. I'm the Salem City Attorney, and I want to very briefly go over the main points of the Sidewalk Conduct Ordinance. And we should have a PowerPoint up here in just a moment, but I'll go ahead and just start with the main bullet points. So the purpose of the ordinance is to provide the city with a tool to address some of the negative impacts of people occupying sidewalks. It has 3 key elements. It restricts sitting or lying on the sidewalk during the day, so from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and it restricts campsites on the sidewalk all day and night. Also restricts leaving personal property unattended on the sidewalk for more than 2 hours all day and night. Property may only be removed immediately if it poses a threat to public safety. And in other cases, it must be posted for removal for at least 24 hours, and the posting includes information on how to contact the city to retrieve the property. The ordinance also provides a variety of exemptions for the daytime restriction on sitting or lying, including medical emergencies, physical disability, and permitted events. It creates a civil penalty similar to like a traffic ticket and not a criminal penalty for folks who are in violation. So people cannot be jailed or arrested for violation of the ordinance. The police are required to give a verbal warning before enforcing the restrictions on sitting or lying. And the city must post notice before removing a campsite and must hold valuables for 30 days to give the owner an opportunity to collect them. People who do not correct their conduct may be issued an exclusion order that applies within the city's 2 crime prevention zones. Violation of the exclusion order can lead to an arrest for trespass. Exclusion orders can provide for a variety of exceptions that allow for a person to be within the district areas to obtain services, go to appointments, work. Outside the district, the police will only be able to issue a citation for violation of the Sidewalk Conduct Ordinance. That is essentially what the ordinance provides in a nutshell, and I wanted to respect your time to ask questions and provide comments, so I'll conclude my testimony.
All right, we are going to move on to comment now. And on my list here, it looks like we have 15 people that have clearly indicated that they want to speak. There are a few on here that have question marks or maybes. So I will call on you maybe after we've warmed up a little bit and see if you've decided if you want to talk. And after all 15 who have indicated they want to talk have had that opportunity, if there's time and you would like to, you've changed your mind and you would like to comment, then we'll have you raise your hand hand and give you that opportunity. So again, a 3-minute limit, and I'll signal you after 2 minutes. So we will start, and I apologize if I mess up names here. Dave, and is it Massiera? Email Bike Toys. He's on his way. Okay, we'll move down the list and come back. Okay, thanks. Okay, so Josh Lair. Josh is gonna wait. Linda Seidel.
Follow her. First of all, Nicole, I want to commend you.
Oh, is that mic not live?
I do have a loud voice. And a big mouth and opinions.
We've got some technical assistance coming here. There we go. Okay.
First of all, Nicole, I want to commend you on what you have shared with us and what you have been doing for the citizens of Salem. This information puts my heart at a little more ease, because I must say, I came here, I wasn't going to speak, but I was reading in the paper affordable housing, and I'm going, tell me about it, please. I'm 72. I live in Lancaster Gardens Apartments for senior adults. It's a very nice place, well kept up, but the rent goes up every year, $50, $50. And PGE, they decided to raise my electricity, which I'm frugal about, from $48 a month to $68 a month because of the Paradise Fire in Southern California. So I get to pay the cost, as does other people. So that really makes me angry. And so I really commend you on that. I came to listen, and I'm glad to hear what you have shared. That puts my heart at ease. But I have to say, I was horrified to see what happened to our citizens last week. With some people were scooted out. One woman without a shoe, maybe they had a backpack. I mean, that's scary. I said, am I down in El Paso right now at the Mexican southern border? You know, what's going on in River City? Yeah, anyway, thank you. I feel much more at ease, but I'd like to hear why that happened the way it did. That really disturbed me. Thank you.
So what I'd like to do is continue through the comments, Linda, and then at the end, if there's opportunity, we can have the police department speak to that.
Thank you.
Okay. Tyler Jackson. Oh, so I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. You know what? We'll have you come up now. Yes, thanks, Dave, and then Tyler.
Hi, my name is Dave Massera, and I'm a coordinator volunteer at the Church of the Park. We're in a little tiny location. It used to be the old Salem JC's building many years ago. It's on loan to the church. And we service a community of nothing but homeless folks that basically reside just north of State Street and all the way up the other side of Mission and up to Cooper. And we operate a small clothing closet. We have a food share that goes on there every Sunday. And the population, again, that we serve is all homeless folks. So I noticed over the last few months there's been a lot of folks that have been displaced from along the river. And those folks are migrating out towards us. And we have limited resources like most places, but to give you an idea, I track all of our data, all of our food boxes that go out, including the number of persons that are being fed by this food. Year to date in August of 2018, I handed out 111 food boxes, and that went to 202 people roughly. That's the number of people that are fed by that food. So the average is about under 30 pounds per household. And that's not a whole lot of food. A frozen chicken weighs about 9 to 10 pounds. So does that give you an idea of how little food these folks are getting? Now, year to date for August of 2019, I handed out 319 food boxes in the month of August, and that went to 319 people. So that's an increase of 208 people versus last year at the same time this year. So this displacement, it's having an effect on us and our resources. I'm not seeing a real tremendous gain in the amount of food that we get from the bulk food share and donations that come in. So an ordinance that's being proposed, the sit-lie ordinance, is only going to make things worse. I see more people coming out in our direction as a result of that. I can't speak for solutions because the only solutions I can see is that we've got to try and help these folks find shelter, find a place to go. They're already in a situation where they're struggling as it is, and making things worse on them isn't going to improve anything. And I know that Arches is taxed, and I know that UGM is taxed, and I know that their resources are slim. But I think that we need to do better for our fellow men and women and children, because we have a bunch of new faces out at the church. A lot of them are families with small children. So they might be displaced and they may not be here today, but I can certainly attest to the fact that I'm seeing a lot younger generation of people coming through. It's not your typical middle-aged person in their late 20s and 30s. And a lot of these folks, obviously don't want to show their faces because they're already feeling repressed as it is. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. Tyler?
My name is Tyler Jackson, and we have the business downtown Salem, and it's been there for going on 75 years. And I've helped out with the city's projects through the years. I've helped on the parking task force. I've been on the downtown advisory board, and most recently on the homeless task force. And I find that serving on these is dire to our community. I love living in Salem, and I want Salem to be everything. I want it to have all the citizens that live here love living here and enjoy the entire city, from West Salem to South Salem to from the east side out off of Lancaster to Kaiser, and even enjoy our downtown. I just feel right now that having our business down there, we've seen that our challenges have increased in these last couple years. We've had to look into how to handle the behaviors of people that are living on the streets and are camped in front of our building and in our area. We've had to hire security to try to move people along because the limitations that the police are set against right now are not fully being met, and they can't help us like we used to. And it's difficult because I'm dealing with customers that are not able to make it to my store because they come down, they park their car, maybe it's in the winter on a rainy day, and they want to come into our store. But right in front of the store and off to the side is a group of people that are eager to meet them as well, and so they keep driving. They keep driving past. And how long will my business be open if people keep driving past? And how long are the people that occupy our buildings going to be able to have jobs and businesses downtown if they keep driving past? And so if we can't create an environment that feels safe for all the citizens that live in our city so that they can have their town throughout all of Salem in a safety environment, what are we doing? And so I just can't have this be the new norm where we are fighting against ourselves and fighting against our values and fighting against our faiths. I mean, I'm a Christian and I go to Salem Alliance, and I look for ways to internally find my path through this, and it's getting difficult. So I look to the city. I look to the city that I love to help me find my way through it. And I feel that this piece of the puzzle is going to come together, and it will help the businesses be able to keep functioning and keep having a vibrant downtown and have a lot of people come through. Also throughout the city have a vibrant area. So I'm in approval of the rule as it goes. So thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. So, Josh, do you want to speak now or wait till later? Okay.
So my name is Josh Lair, and I get the privilege of not only working downtown, but I live downtown. I also come from the streets of downtown, and my life has been drastically changed, and so I'm no longer affected by being homeless and on the streets or affected by drugs and alcohol or criminal activity. Instead, I get to partner with the Marion County Sheriff's Department and Salem Police Department because I'm the lead navigator for the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. But I'm also the president of the Board of Directors for Be Bold Street Ministries. So not only is my 8 hours a day of getting paid on the streets of Salem, but my free time is also on the streets of Salem because I choose to advocate for the same people that I used to be. And I also advocate for the businesses. So our street ministry has taken some flack in some areas in the press here recently because we stand beside the business owners. Jackson's Jewelers, Great Harvest, Minties, those folks call us when they're having issues with individuals that are downtown. And what we've come to find is that spending some time with folks, investing and building a relationship changes things. I have not ever once been phone called to go to a location, shown up and had any pushback because I'm there to serve not only the business, but the individual that there may or may not be an alleged disruption from. And some of these folks are sitting in this auditorium today, and what I do know is that some of the things, I'm not really sure that I'm fond of the whole ticketing process. You're dealing with a population of people that can't afford to put themselves in a place to live. How are they going to afford to pay for a ticket? And then that just is a giant snowball effect to me. So on that note, I've also been blessed to work with great law enforcement officers that really care about the people that are on the streets. And so I think we're heading in the right direction. It's just how do we get there as a community? And I'm really thankful that our folks that are struggling, that are out on the streets, are here today, and I hope that they are willing to speak up and share their voice too. Thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you, Josh. I'm going to call up one of the question mark people, Melissa, and it looks like Bauer, maybe, with Santiam Hospital. I don't know if Melissa, do you want to speak? Okay. All right. And then another question mark was Pamela Watson. Pamela? Okay. And as Pamela's coming up, I had failed to mention this at the beginning. We are recording this today, so it will be available to view or share with others that aren't here.
My name's Pamela Watson, and I'm with Home Based Shelters of Salem and also a homeless advocate. I'm part of an outreach program through Arches where I deliver coffee downtown early in the morning to wake up our unsheltered friends that are sleeping, and we've seen the population downtown drastically decrease over the last few months, probably since definitely before the beginning of the summer. And it's gone from probably like maybe 35 we were waking up to maybe 8 to 12 people most of the time. I have never, in the whole time I've been doing it, have I ever come across any feces. I have at times seen garbage, but that seems to be, usually I do it Sunday morning, so Saturday night, and whether that was there from the unsheltered or from the bars being open up late and people eating outside, it's questionable. The concern I have about this is that the ordinance will, in fact, only impact one population of people. It is not going to impact me. The other question, the other concern I have about it is that we are running out of places for the unsheltered to go in our city. And it's easy to put an ordinance like this in place, but then we're left with where do they go? Right now, as we speak, we have police that are supposedly doing sweeps right now through Cascade Gateway Park today. There's been sweeps going on throughout the city for the last couple of weeks with very little warning and stuff. And people are panicking and thinking, where do we go? So I feel that the city of Salem, unlike other cities, is behind the curveball once again, not willing to think outside of the box and to think of alternatives so that we can start to get some of our population stabilized so that we can help them to start moving up and out of sleeping on the sidewalk, sleeping in the mud in a camp. It's very frustrating because we have a lot of people in this city who are so fellow citizens that we come up, we want to be involved in the solutions, and yet we feel stonewalled at every single turn. And we're watching our population suffer more and more and become more and more desperate in wanting to know how do they even begin to try to turn this around. And so I'm having a hard time with this ordinance strictly because it means the big question mark, where then do they go? Where then do they stand between dusk when the parks close and where do they stand in the rain till they can go downtown? Yet when they get downtown, where are they actually going to be able to camp since they can't put a structure or a sleeping bag? That's what I'd like to know.
Thank you, Pamela. Tom Hoffert.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Hoffert. I feel this microphone should actually be turned around and we should be speaking to the audience. We know we have our partners in front of us. I have the opportunity to represent the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce, which is a business organization of about 1,000 city businesses who invest in our organization to make sure the health and the viability of the business community is not only represented, but the flames of entrepreneurship are fanned. As we look at this ordinance, and I'm hearing a lot from the audience, the necessity and the request for the homeless population to have additional resources for housing and the like. And as I look at this steers back, for me, the ordinance is not addressing the overall homeless challenges that this community faces. We realize that this is a very large issue across our entire nation. And for that reason, we're looking for a key win for under the equity lens. When I look at this ordinance and I look at the city as a whole, we have everybody in this city matters. And I am very proud of our business owners and their employees for how we both see the human side of the homeless situation as well as how we interact and want to provide hope. The businesses in this community are the funding mechanism and a key piece of the funding mechanism for all the social services that are in this city. And so I would ask on the equity lens, we understand that our downtown business owners and their employees need a safe and equally fair place to apply their trade. When businesses are blocked by structures, tents, or individuals preventing that type of atmosphere, it is concerning for us. And I think this is a first tool, and it really is a tool that will allow if situations occur where business owners can have a resource and our different law enforcement alike can now provide new access points. And so as we look at the city as an ecosystem, everybody gets an important voice here. And know that the business community is committed to continuing to support the nonprofits and the opportunities that we can give to route people into better places where they can get the resources they need, whether it be mental health or basic services in general. We're going to stand behind and always be supporting those. We would just like a fairness and consideration that this ordinance will provide some ability for our business community to have a resource to be able to get to a better place and have businesses open safely and fairly throughout the day. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom. All right, Lewis Coleman, and then next on the list is Ryan Corlin. So Lewis.
Hello, folks. How you doing? My name is Lewis Coleman. I'm a member of the homeless community here. And first off, I'd just like to say, homeless people is not the enemy. We're not the enemy. We're in different stages of disorientation, if you have. There's mental illness, there's drug use, and I don't think any homeless person that would be aware, I don't think any homeless person is trying to interrupt commerce or anybody making a living if they were aware of the problem. You really got to address the homeless situation realistically, and number one, that means humanely. Anything less than humane, you're going wrong. You're absolutely going wrong if you do not address the problem humanely. And Mr. President, Celebrity President Trump had the nerve the other day to say the homeless camps in Los Angeles and San Francisco were a disgrace to the country. I would like to say, for one, I believe, and I don't think I'm the only one, I believe he is a disgrace to the country by being its president, who didn't get elected the right way to begin with. And forget about all of that. He is a sick man. He needs help himself. And how this guy ever got into the White House is beyond belief. And I would only like to say, if you don't work against us, we won't work against you. Thank you.
Ryan. Thanks, Lewis. Ryan Corlin. And then Bruce Donahue. Okay.
Reading through your little brochure here today, the biggest problem I see is even at night you don't want structures or camps. That leaves all female subject easier to rape. So you're trying to create problems. They can identify that they're inside of something, whether it's male, female, therefore there's safety that you're taking out. Not quite understanding number 5 on the back here, where it says that, yes, all laws must apply or must be applied and enforced uniformly. We're not allowed to ride bikes on the sidewalks downtown, but that is exactly where all of your downtown bike officers ride their bikes, holding themselves above law. Part of the problem, I think, is anytime that you have solutions or answers at hand, ideas, you think that it's just all an attack, rather than ideas coming. As man was just stating, with presidential campaigns, if you look into some of these other laws that have been, ORS 163A100, you have the ability of clearing some criminal histories. Oh, that would put me clear of my criminal history, and for about $30,000 investment within 4 months to 4 years, you could have $15 million on the low end right back into the state, and continuing to come back every 4 to 8 years with those presidential campaigns going on. Another problem, it was 2-3 years back, there was a law passed here in the state of Oregon. You can no longer ask about criminal background while applying for employment. That's still a question asked at in every interview you go to and on application itself. If you do that, you have people that are willing to work be able to actually get work, so the laws that are already out there are not being enforced.
Thank you, Ryan. John Prohodsky. And then the next one, I think is following John is I'm Julie Carper. Following John.
Thank you for holding this forum. I think it's really nice that you're listening to all sides of the problem. I have several concerns. By just moving a select group of people, select in a particular area, that doesn't solve the problem. It might solve the problem in one particular area. But it doesn't do anything to help solve the overall problem. A person earlier alluded to stability, and how can a person work on making themselves, whether they have a problem that's drug-related, health-related, mental health, when they don't have stability. Right. And so I would hope that one of the things the city's considering is, you just can't solve the homeless problem by moving them from one point to another. You really need to put things into place, systems, work with the legislature to create the conditions where they can thrive and grow and have jobs and resources where they're no longer homeless. And with that point, there's a lot of people who, for one reason or another, don't want to have the homeless people in a particular area. But are they taking a short-term perspective and say, let's get my problem solved, which might cause problems, might exacerbate the problem and cause problems for other people, or are they actually willing to say, now that my problem's solved or in the process of being solved, let's work on the overall problem, the big problem, and let's solve it. And it's not going to take, it's going to take the faith community, it's going to take homeless advocates, it's going to take the business community, it's going to take the health community, the mental health community, and people who understand drug and alcohol treatment. And I encourage people to talk to the homeless, to understand that there's a diverse number of people out there with different stories, different backgrounds. You just can't see a person's homeless and have one image of them. Mm-hmm. There are stories behind them. Sometimes they just need a little bit of help, or sometimes just being kind to them, showing some consideration, or having a kind word, doing a small, nice gesture can really make their day. And don't forget that they're people just like you and me. I've been in a place in my life where just small gestures really make a big difference. And please don't forget that.
Thank you, John. So the next one, I think it's Julie. It might be Jackie. Carper. I'm having a hard time reading, and there's no email address associated with it. Does that sound familiar?
She's here.
Okay. And then the next,
Can bring the mic to her.
I think she's making, are we going to get the mic back to her maybe? Okay, thank you. We're going to get the mic back. We'll get the mic back to you. And then following this speaker will be Holly Oakes Miller and then Larry Nassett.
I think one of the few things that I was worried about with this was oftentimes, people with disabilities, and particularly disabilities that, people they aren't really all that noticeable. And oftentimes, a lot of people don't know how to recognize them, symptoms and whatnot. When police are trying to enforce such an ordinance, if there could be some problems because of, say, for instance, someone perhaps, people with PTSD oftentimes have different ways of coping with it. Some may occasionally have to just simply stop and sit down where they are, or lie down where they are. do whatever they need to do to de-stress. And there have been times that I've been walking downtown and seeing another homeless person sitting over by the the Salem Center Parkade, just sitting there crying their eyes out. And I'm thinking that is someone who is just seriously needing to just sit down and just de-stress for a while. As stuff had maybe just built up for them a bit too much. And of course, there are also, other things that people might sometimes have to do. Some types of panic attacks, somebody might very well pass out. If somebody thinks they're sleeping on the sidewalk, they could wake up to a cop telling them, you need to move along, whatever, and they might be like, okay, where am I? And there are all kinds of possibilities that I think could make this rather difficult as far as enforcement goes and interpretations. But I think that was the main thing that I wanted to address there, was that sort of thing. Thanks.
Thank you. Holly?
Sorry, I have a cough, so forgive this. My partner, my name's Holly. My partner, who couldn't be here today, and I have lived and worked for 15 years. We're also members of the steering committee for the Salem chapter of Democratic Socialists of America. We believe that the existence of houseless folks in our community reflects solely on our capitalistic society and not houseless individuals. We as a society have failed to build communities that value all and serve all people, and instead we have alienated, disenfranchised, and dehumanized people to the point that they can no longer function as contributing members of our community. We reject any solution that places any further burden on the houseless to solve problems that are ultimately created by our capitalistic society, which prioritizes profits over people. We specifically oppose adopting this new version of the Sit-Lie Ordinance that would act to further burden our houseless community members who literally have nowhere else to go. We wonder why the city is wasting time and resources and continuing to pass this extremely unpopular and frankly immoral ordinance. It is clearly safer to rest during the day than it is at night. We suggest that the city instead focuses time and resources on solving problems that cause people to be houseless in the first place, such as skyrocketing housing costs and medical costs, lack of funding for low-cost housing, mental health care, and dependency programs, the need for more public bathrooms, showers, laundry facilities, common areas, and storage spaces that are free for everyone to use. These are the solutions that actually address the problem instead of criminalizing people with no other choice but to exist in public spaces.
Amen.
Moving the problem from one location to another solves nothing and only further alienates and dehumanizes our houseless neighbors. We conclude that the problem of houselessness and all the issues that stem from unsheltered community members should be addressed by leaders and community members who are privileged with capital resources and can turn Salem into a community where all members are valued and have their basic needs met.
Thank you, Holly. Larry Nassett, followed by Keith Bernard.
Well, first I'd like to say thank you for having this forum. And secondly, I agree with the intent of the proposed ordinance. Everyone wants the downtown area to be a successful, vibrant place where people want to shop, want to visit, want to be. However, I believe the proposed ordinance is the wrong way to address the concerns caused by the homeless in the downtown area for at least least 3 reasons that I haven't heard directly addressed. As homeless, houseless people are forced out of downtown, this is the first one. There will be more squatting in vacant buildings, both vacant businesses, vacant residential properties. This is already a problem, and it will get worse. The second thing is health concerns. Spending time in the parks during the winter in Salem will lead to increased respiratory problems and more serious conditions such as trench foot, which is already found among the homeless. That leads to things like, well, it does not lead to, but that involves things like diabetes. It's more prevalent among the homeless, and it leads to complications and up to and including amputations. Some studies show 17% among homeless does occur. The increased medical costs alone are a cause for concern. Who will pay for it? Another one is the social services agencies express concerns about the most vulnerable being forced out of the downtown where they are safe. What that means is, or if people are forced out into more out of the way places, there will almost certainly be more crime. There will almost certainly be more assaults, more robberies, and more rapes. They will go unreported because of fears of reprisal, but they will occur. I believe Salem can and must do better. I think our Salem's very soul is at risk when we pretend that there are sufficient places and for proper people to be out of the weather during the winter. There are not.
Thank you, Larry. Keith?
Hello, my name is Keith Bernard, and I've been a member of this community, homeless, for 4 years. I relocated here from Phoenix. I also come from Detroit, Michigan, where I was a child, and I watched our city burn over civil rights issues. I was 7 years old at the time, 64 and 67. I'd hate to see that come to this country again. I believe we have laws in place already concerning these civil issues. I have a list of them, just very few. I've been studying for 4 years. There's a little bit of, you can each grab one if you'd like to see where they are or what they say. We're confusing homelessness, or I should say mental illness or neglect from the mental health community, and drug addiction problems that are not, and crime problems that are not being enforced already by the powers that be. Instead, they're using these ordinances that are as a form of misconduct to attack those and prejudice against those that they do not like or want to remove from society. Now, when they can conduct a no due process on the street, they can conduct their own tribunal, sentence you guilty, make up a story, and then exclude you without even being fined guilty. That's carrying out a sentence already. I've been a victim of that already by sitting on a sidewalk outside of Starbucks when a friend asked me to sit down while he was getting a drink. I wasn't even there 2 minutes. The manager called the police, said I was trespassing, while an officer for four years has been misconduct. I filed paperwork on him. I've been in and out of the court systems, squandering money in the court systems that could be used for better resources in this community than violating our rights. And as soon as I get somebody to hear me properly, because nobody seems to care to listen, we will get compensation, because you all signed a compensation to protect my rights, and you take your acceptance, you sign it and cash that paycheck. So now I suggest that we all look at a movie that I saw about one of our neighboring cities. Seattle is Dying. I recommend you watch it. It's a great documentary. It addresses a lot of these same issues. And if we don't start taking care of the community and addressing the issues as they are properly examined, then we're going to have a civil rights issue and probably another civil war on our hands. Please take one of those if you haven't gotten one and educate yourself.
Thank you, Keith. Bob Francis, and then John Hawkins.
My name is Bob Francis. I'm a volunteer with Arches, and like Pamela Watson said, we go out and give coffee in the morning to folks. And I would suggest anybody here who wants to stereotype and, how would you say it, be discriminatory against unsheltered people, you need to serve some coffee with these folks. These are just people, human beings, no different. They're just people. They're really good people. We come to know the kindness and generosity of many of these folks, and they smile and they always say thank you, and it breaks my heart to see what this city is thinking about doing to criminalize. And you may not say that it's criminalizing, but come on. We know that when you warn a person and then they don't do what you want them to, and then you warn them again, and then you kick them out of town for 30 days, and then if they find their way back, then they're going to be legally in trouble. Give me a break. We all know exactly what this is. These are fellow citizens. And by the way, you know it, lawyer, or Mr., I don't know your name, you know it very well, that what you're attempting to do here is unconstitutional. Thank
you. Okay, our next speaker is John Hawkins.
So I'm John Hawkins. I'm a partner of a CPA firm located downtown Salem. Also owner of the business of the property that we are located in. So we're located at Corner Cottage in Marion. And I'm here to speak in favor of the ordinance that, for us, we need, it's just like Tyler Jackson talked about. We want our customers to feel safe coming into our building. We don't want the sidewalks blocked so they are not able to enter. Being a CPA firm, we have certain crunch times of the year where we have employees that come into the office and often work 12-hour days, and they come in at 5 in the morning. Some people don't leave until 9 at night. And when they're having to step over people sleeping in their doorways, some people are not. I mean, I would agree that most of the people that are homeless are very kind. And I have spent a lot of time volunteering with organizations that work with people with disabilities and people that are homeless. And most all of them are very kind. But there are some with some mental health issues and some drug and alcohol addiction issues that we've been advised by the police to not approach. So I'm concerned about my staff, my employees, their safety as they come and go from our office. Also, we have many clients in the downtown area, and as we leave our office and go to other business locations in the downtown area, we have to go past people that it just makes you concerned about your safety sometimes. So this morning, I could hear someone screaming outside my office and yelling at someone that didn't exist. Illegal. I agree. So I feel like this is just only one piece of the big picture. I mean, I know that Arches, Union Gospel, many other charity organizations are doing things to help provide work, housing. This ordinance is only one part of a bigger scope of what's needed to address the homeless problem, but I think it is a necessary piece that we need to have to make sure that our downtown area remains a vibrant and welcoming area for customers and businesses and for their employees as well. Thank you.
Thank you, John. TJ Sullivan.
Thank you for the opportunity to come down here and speak. We built a building in downtown Salem about 12 months ago. And since that time, we've spent almost $11,000 fixing property damage that's occurred. And when you go back and review the footage, you can see that the people who are doing the damage to our property are clearly inebriated, or they are on some kind of other drug that's sponsoring them. And one of the things I've always impressed upon my kids is you get to know your neighbors. Where we live and where we work, we get to know our neighbors. Whether they have homes or not, we get to know them. And I talk to everybody that I see on our property. It doesn't matter the time of day or night. I approach them and talk to them. And we keep treating the situation as if it's a homeless situation. And it's not. It's an addiction issue that we're dealing with in a large measure. As I talk to the people that are out there, and we have honest conversations with them, and one of the best parts about talking to people who are at the end of their rope is that they are brutally honest with you about their situation. And as I talk to them and ask them, you know, how are you in this situation? And what do you need help with? And where are you at in your life? And I have yet to meet somebody who tells me that they are not addicted to a substance as I talk to them. And so as I talk with them and find out that this is the issue, they're making a choice in their life. And they're saying, I'm choosing right now my addiction over finding stable employment, over finding a stable place to live. And so, and it may not be you. It may not be you. I'm talking about the people that I talk to. And so as we discuss this, we have a decision to make. And it should break your heart when you see somebody continue down a pathway that they eventually hurt themselves more and more and more. When we make it easier for people to be homeless in Salem, and make it easier for people to continue their addiction in Salem, we make it easier for them to end their life in Salem in a horrible, tragic way. So I'm in favor of this ordinance because this is a step in pushing people into different areas where they're going to get the help that they need.
Thanks, TJ. Okay, our next speaker, and I'm going to need everybody to listen closely because the next two. Is this one working? Okay. Is this? Oh, we're back on. Okay. All right. Sorry to do some ear damage to people there. Okay. The next two I have, I'm also having a hard time reading. It looks like Bree, and it says Brokey, Broeke. Britt, thank you.
Hi, my name is Britt Brokey, my wife Leslie. Up till about a year ago, I was working. I was warehouse manager for a moving company. I have more respect for these homeless people than I do most of the people in my neighborhood. They welcome me. The neighborhood is not welcome people. If they were to find something wrong with you, then welcome them. They're homeless because my motorhome got stolen by some guy who said I gave it to him. Our valuable police department said they could have it. Police department right here, it says, Transit, Cascade Gateway Park. Stay here, I will come back and get in touch with you. We have a ticket for trespassing. I've been down to homeless when I worked because I have no idea about it, but I was wrong. That's all I'm saying. Like I was totally wrong.
Do you realize that you go to the hospital and you are under the influence of being a drug or alcohol and are asking them for help, that their security guard walks you out the back door and walks you over to Bush Park? They don't help you. They take you off their property in 86 road.
Negligent.
My daughter, who was blessed, and I filed reports on it. The police department, when she went down, she does post-traumatic stress. At first, the police department decided she was to press charges against her. It took them 6 months for the police department to even respond. A detective pulled her in a room by herself and said she couldn't get out of the room until she said she was lying because everybody knew she was. So she finally said, okay, fine, if I could get out of this room by telling you I'm lying, I'll tell you I'm lying. A man served 17 years for molesting my daughter. We were dysfunctional.
Confessed.
And we were dysfunctional. I was taking her to counseling. I was trying to keep her in school. It was hell hard because of the fact that she had too much to deal with. She's now 37 years old, and she's going through her first time in her life of being sober and trying to get her life together because it took her that long to find a reason and everything. Her kids are her reason. And she was on the street a lot. Now we're on the street, and we can see that where she came from and everything. Do you know there's lots of reasons why people are drug addicts and alcoholics? Maybe it's because society kicks them out and don't offer to help them. They think it's more important to walk into Wish Park and just give them the cold shoulder instead of giving them maybe a treatment room. Are you really serious about everybody that is out at Cascade and everywhere wants to be homeless? No one, woman, or kid is voting to be homeless.
I would just want you to become crippled at work and told that you're worthless, you don't deserve your pay, and you're gone. You can't park your car in our lot, so you're fired. You can't get to work. You become a problem with society. You come home.
Thank you.
The
Time.
police department listed our address, and then they came and gave us a ticket. Explain that.
The next, I think I've got a dead mic again.
Shout it out.
Huh?
Shout it out.
The next one, I can't read the signature, and then the word John, the name John is written.
Does it have a G in it? A-S-S, A-W-A-Y?
Yes. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Sorry about this. My name is John Gasway. I'm part of the homeless community. I've been in Salem off and on for about 4 or 6 years. I went to California, walked across to Oregon with my fiance at the time. Now it's my girlfriend because of all the problems I went through. But when I reached Chico, California, this law that you're passing will increase violence. It will increase the tax on businesses. It will increase everything the police are trying to stop. That man right there talks to me time to time. He knows that I ain't lying. You know I'm pretty honest. Okay? I've seen what this law will do. Check out Chico, California. There's a tax broad daylight on people. All over this law. If people can't lay down or sleep at nighttime, you're going to have worse problems. It's going to destroy this city and everything around it. The cops are going to be overloaded. There's 5 or 6 homeless to every 1 civilian. Okay? If every one of them don't get sleep and uprise, your businesses will be down. Your homes will be down. And the police will be forced to use physical altercation. There was at least 3 or 4 shootings and killings a day in Chico, California over this goddamn law. Sorry. Okay? It destroyed me over this law. I got to watch a guy chase me around trying to do pretty bad things to me, and not even the law was able to protect me because I was homeless. You want to keep Salem good? This law does not need to pass. You pass this law, and I can swear to you on this. And this ain't a threat. It's pretty much what's going to happen. Is your businesses are going to drop. Your clientele will be attacked in and out. The people in homes will start lashing out at the homeless and creating a bigger uprising. I've seen it firsthand. I just survived it. Then I get back here and shot in the head 3 times with a flare gun, and I'm still sitting here talking to you. And if I'm that strong, Imagine how these homeless are that went through similar stuff to me. Don't underestimate us. We carry around stone and stuff, almost every one of us. Carry our weight because we chase spot to spot. How can I show up to court and I get so many failures to appear? Ask this guy, he arrests me a lot. Okay? If I'm too busy packing up my camp and moving it because they have to chase me around, it ain't their fault. It's the politics that are causing the laws that do this. Prejudice. Sorry, but that's the truth. Have a nice day.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. I've gone through the list of everybody that has identified, so thank you. So I would like to go now through people who would raise their hand, and why don't we start, I'd like to start with this front. Pardon me? What's your name? Did you speak, I'm sorry, Christian, did you speak at the last forum?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's noted here, I have a note here that said that you had.
Somebody did speak, but I was not one of them.
Okay, I am sorry here, my note had said that you indicated you spoke last time. Go ahead and come on up, and then we'll start working through those that were not on the list, or not indicated they wanted to speak.
He spoke, didn't he? I know I talked to him.
Hi, my name is Christian Zoki, who I'm affiliated with. It's not important, too much time to take up. So I just wanted to say, I see what the businesses and those in the community is trying to say. For too long, though, their side has always been taking place. That's why the prices of rent is so sky high, why other reasons that also lead to homelessness is happening, because the businesses and the rich is always being taken first, and the people that are homeless and low income and so on and so forth is taken last. And this ordinance was already being said to be not deciding to preserve physical pedestrian access or public safety. So that means that this is just for appearance, just to get them out of sight, out of mind. And I don't think that's right. That's unconstitutional, that's illegal, that's discrimination. The Ninth Circuit Court said in October last year that it is unconstitutional, illegal, and I would add inhumane to that, to force somebody to move that has no place to go and that the shelter, not adequate shelters to go to. This city for too long has not been looking for services to add new shelters. I hear a lot of, we said earlier about housing opportunities and stuff, but that's down the road. This ordinance is supposed to be happening now. Why can't this wait until those resources are open when all these other resources down the road are actually happening? Between 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock during this time period, you want them out of downtown. There's no place to go. Arches is not open, Hope is not going open. Nobody else is able to take them. They can't sit in the park, especially if it's bad weather. They can't go underneath the bridge. Where are they supposed to go? That's unconstitutional. I just mentioned that to you guys last week, and I heard no difference on that. Another thing is that businesses do have a right to have, access to their place, but so far I haven't heard about maybe one case of where that's actually became a problem. And if it's not been a big, huge problem, then why is this being even done? I was told last week also that if it's been proven after the police officers contact them and determine that they don't have a place to go, that then they have no choice but to let them stay. If that's true, then what's the purpose of this in the first place? It just makes no sense. But I have to say, no matter how you try to word it, no matter how you try to spin this, no matter what you want to say this is or what this isn't, it's still, bottom line, Ninth Circuit says this is unconstitutional and illegal. And I have to say inhumane. At the same time as you're doing this, you're also forcing people out of their camps outside of downtown. Unprecedented rage has been going on right now in streets. Now, nothing before, but no more.
Thank you, Christian. Okay, the first hands that came up were in the second row here, so I'll let, I see one waiting really strongly there. Let's start with you.
Okay, I get your guys' point about downtown. I don't get your point on compassion from police, DOT, any of it. Y'all went through and swept the camps over at Cascade, okay? Y'all came down and slashed up our tents.
Yeah.
With knives. You just slashed them to shreds. So not only were we homeless to begin with, but y'all made us homeless again. I paid for my tent out of my with my money. Okay? I used to be here. I used to have the house and the cars and the bank account. I used to pay my taxes, darn Skippy. But circumstances that I couldn't help made a snowball effect in my life to where I'm here. You have no idea how many good people are out here homeless. And if you keep kicking us while we're down, it's gonna just get worse. You're leaving us no choices, like we are not even human. And it's not fair. It's disgusting that you can walk around and do these things and talk about compassion to these people who actually need it.
Walk in our shoes and then make your judgments. Because you know what, God's the only one that should be judging anybody, and he's judging all of us now. You know, I'm a flagger that usually saves your guys' lives out there. But I'm being looked at like a scum. Because I lost my job for a moment. My husband went to jail. I couldn't help that. But you know what? I'm still a human being, and God loves all of us, you know? And I would bow my head if I was you guys, the way you treat us, being homeless. I'd be talking to God.
Drug addicts
and alcoholics. No. I've had a lot of ups and downs and not, and I've actually worked 20 years flagging in this town. My old man and I were in a park between the Ram Pub and the train station, broke a trailer arm. For 2 days, not a car stopped, nothing, not even a law enforcement. I said we needed water, telephone, nothing. Salem gets an F- in my book.
I want to stop for just a second. I've been seeing I heard voices in the back, so. Okay. And, if you signed up and I missed a box, is Angela, is that what you said? Yeah. The name, yeah, go ahead and come on up, please.
Yeah, my name is Angela, and I think the city ordinance shouldn't even be a thing because nobody knows what it's like to be on the streets that have issued this ordinance. I think they should, for one, put themselves in our shoes and try to live a month on the streets.
Without stealing.
Yeah, the people are on the street.
That's right.
Sounds like a lot of people agree with me with that.
Two people.
We have 5 minutes left, so time to hear from just a couple more people. Lori, we'll do one more here, and then we'll go back to you, okay? Oh, if you spoke last time, though, I'd like to give opportunities to people that didn't speak at the last forum.
People who spoke last time that have been
Okay.
Yeah, and I was not one of them when I was accused.
I'm sorry, let's hear from our current speaker. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Patricia Thomas. I've been a...
Can't hear you.
She can't see.
My name is Patricia Thomas. I've been a member of the homeless community here in Salem for a year and a half with my husband, Art. We both worked all our lives, raised our children, did everything we were supposed to do the right way. And nothing prevented him from losing his job because he got cancer and he got sick. Nothing prevented me losing mine because I had a birth defect and at 39 had to have an open heart surgery. Now, we did everything we could the right way. We then spent the last of our money getting an RV, which Salem doesn't like, and rounds them up. We then lost our RV to an accident, and then now in the woods by the river. I have lost my sight since I have been here. I am not now blind. I have been one of the statistics that they have talked about that has been raped. It has been a horrendous experience, but we still get up every morning. We don't steal. We don't break things. We are good people at heart. Now we spend, it's kind of hard to do anything else to help yourself when you have to spend all day trying to survive, getting one meal maybe. You spend all day long doing nothing. People don't think about it. Yeah, it's easy to haul water. I can go get water, except that it takes you 20 different steps to do the first thing that anybody else with a house can do.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay?
That's right.
You know, go to the bathroom in a proper place. I'm college educated. I was a nurse. Okay, my husband is extremely intelligent. Now we have been, it was mentioned that I was raped to an officer, it was blown off. We have been clumped with a group of people that most of us aren't. Did you know that over 70% of Americans are less than one paycheck away from being where we are right now? And that's all of us. We do everything for ourselves and we try, and we still give. We still give, we still help where we can, because that's who most of us are. And we are being treated like scum. And I believe that this ordinance is the first step in criminalizing being homeless so the country can get rid of what they don't desire. We are considered undesirable. And we've paid taxes, we've done everything our whole lives the way we were supposed to.
We were told by Officer Denvers that we weren't citizens of the city.
We were homeless. Yeah, we weren't good enough to be citizens, to be considered that. But we were good enough before. I was good enough before to work on people's loved ones.
Come on.
And the country needs to take a better look and quit trying to sweep us under the carpet, put us in a closet, because you know what is going to happen is exactly what they say. Sooner or later, we won't be able to take anymore. We are doing everything we can to survive now, and that's all we are doing, trying to survive. And you are criminalizing survival. And that is,
disgusting.
That's all I can say.
One person cuts in my hand, damages my hand. Work for, I'll come back. I will come back.
I want to thank you for your comments. Time is up. Thank you. We're coming right up on our stop. I'll do two more. Lori, we'll take your comment, and we'll do one more from around the room. And Lori, if you could keep it well under the 3 minutes, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm Lori Walker. I've shopped at Jackson's Jewelry since 1971, and I'll continue to go there. I don't think any data shows that anyone is not safe on the streets of Salem. From what I've been told, there has been one assault in over a year ago downtown Salem by a homeless person per se. So I don't think we shoppers are unsafe, and I don't know why the city of Salem is not playing up on how safe we are downtown.
Hello.
So I am an advocate for homeless folks. I'm currently the facilitator of the Salem Homeless Coalition. We actually have over 200 signatures right now of people who are against this ordinance. So I talked about the safety. Doing the sweeps on almost a daily basis of every homeless place in Salem that we know of is scattering people everywhere. It's making people more fearful of the police, fearful of those of us who are advocates as well, when in fact we all need to be working more together on what's happening. So I'm wondering why, as a 35-year state employee, 30 years at the state hospital, why no one is holding the state of Oregon responsible for the people that they are spending millions of dollars to have housed at the state hospital and then drop off to the streets of Salem or the Gospel Mission when they are still in need of care. So I truly believe that the city and the advocates need to work closer together. The city council, city manager, everyone needs to work closer with advocates because we have no place for these folks to go without getting a ticket somewhere. Be it a church parking lot, approved homeless camp, we need something somewhere and we needed it years ago.
Convention center.
Thanks, Lori. All right, we have our last speaker coming up, and as a reminder, we are going to have a third forum. We're going to try to have it before the end of the month. We'll let you. We're looking at a morning forum. Yes, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Michael Spears, actually, but all I got to really say is. I was homeless for a while. I was homeless for about 4 months. I recently got housing mainly just because one of the owners of a business nearby literally wrote a letter to Congress saying that they felt sorry for me because of my situation and how my life's been going and how my life was treated, especially how certain situations in my life were actually mistreated by the supposed compassion of the Salem PD. Just saying. I had a very abusive childhood, and every time the Salem PD called, literally my stepdad gets thrown in jail for 3 days. I commit one offense, I get locked up for 8 years of my life at 16. Come on. But anyways, on top of that, it's just literally how many times can you kick a broken dog before he bites back? And I'm just saying, this law is going to make it where people are going to start fighting back. And you're worried about your safety? There's nothing going on now where there's really a safety issue. Most of the business owners that I've talked to that are for this are only worried about the money in their wallet, not about the safety of their customers. I'm just saying, this is me coming from a guy that's actually opening up a business soon here in downtown Salem. And honestly, I'm just letting the homeless community know, once it is open, you guys can walk into my doors anytime and sit, talk. You can camp in front of my store, and I don't care if Salem police comes in and arrests you, because I will fight for you. I will go down and pay your guys' bill if I have to. You get arrested in front of my store. Thank you.
All right, so we are going to conclude today. We're on our timeline, and we need to clear out of we only have this reserved for so long. We will hold another forum. I will likely have that information out early to middle part of next week. And it will not be at breakfast time. We'll be looking at a 9:30, 10 o'clock time period to address that concern. I will be around for maybe another 15, 20 minutes before I have to get to my next commitment for the day. I'm not sure about my other colleagues here. I think some of them can stick around for a few more minutes as well. Would be happy to talk with you and then follow up the conversation at the next forum. So thank you very much for taking your time and giving up your lunch hours and coming in today to share with us.